What is up, guys, and welcome back to an episode of the F1 Clash 2024 series. We're here for episode number 17 today. If you guys didn't miss the previous episode number 16, definitely be sure to go check that out before you see this one, as we now get set then for not one, not two, but three races this time around. So you guys will get one extra race in store. And, well, just like the two episodes before, we are starting at Montreal once again here. And hopefully we can have another good result here. We've had two wins here at Canada. Of course, can we make it three in a row? Piastri and Russell here are the guys we are using 16th and 21st, with our rival using Magnussen and Alonso. That is a interesting combination I've not seen yet, so we'll see how that performs compared to us. But for us, we are going to be performing I think a two-stop here. It is starting off wet, so we are going to give the Skull then to Russell, and then Piastri will get the Street Shark because of his poor race start boost. As we go to 5, red lights then, and it's lights out. Away we go. Piastri gets the fast start. Russell gets the perfect start, which is just what we needed here. As Piastri now makes his way through the first corner, making some very good moves there up into P10. Then with Russell, unfortunately still down in P22, despite the fact that he had a perfect start. Not really maximizing those benefits, unfortunately, as Piastri is now up into 6th with Russell in 19th now. So quite a bit of ways between both of these guys, but we'll see how it plays out as we make our way into the hairpin. Then we are on board, of course, with Russell, making a nice move on Yuki Tsunoda there up into P18, almost making a move there on Logan Sargent. Piastri is now at the chicane and making his way onto lap number 2 then, and it's P6 and P17 for us, way ahead of our rival there, so not needing to worry about points for now. As I said, it is going to be a wet race here, and I think it's going to be wet all the way, so we're just going to focus on a nice two-stop strategy with these guys to try and pull this off. Russell, by the way, is now in P16. He's looking pretty decent now, as that skull boost is working pretty decently. Gives a good boost to overtaking, gives a great boost to speed and power unit, so we'll see how that plays out. But as for Piastri, sitting nicely in P7, he has been overtaken a little bit, but so far he's looking okay. As we start lap number 3 then, we're going to be pitting the guys at the end of this lap. Then we can't make a 4-4 work exactly. We would have to use some tire wear boost, which fortunately both Street Shark and Skull do not provide. So we'll see how this ends up after the first pit stop phase. But as we make our way into the heart of Sector 2, and Piastri is asking to box, and we are going to be confirming that with both drivers here. And we have a decent enough gap between both of these guys, so where we shouldn't have to worry about the double stacking problems, as Russell is just through the hairpin as Piastri is entering the pit lane. So very good gap then between both of these guys. Piastri gets on another set of wet tires here. Russell will come nice and easy into the box in 4.85 seconds for Piastri, then a very nice stop, and then Russell will come out in, I think, P23 then, 5.23 seconds. I think he got held up a little bit, but he manages to find his way through the pit lane traffic, is now back up into P16 then, so a good result for him. And now we can use our battery charge that we saved up during the conserve phase to now try to see if we can move up a couple positions, and we do so successfully right as the safety car comes out, as Max Verstappen is out of the Grand Prix here. He crashed apparently in Sector 3 then, so we're going to have to go right back into the pit lane. This is a free stop for us. I know we just pit then for a fresh set of wet tires, and taking these tires 4 laps is going to be a bit of a stretch, but we are going to be under the safety car for one extra lap then, so that will help us a little bit then. And of course, since there is just more rain coming, it's not really going to be likely that we're going to go onto the slick tires, of course, I mean, unless you're Ferrari. But anyways, besides that, getting on the wet tires for both of these guys, the pit crew is probably very confused why we're just back into the pits, despite the fact we just pit a lap ago. But regardless of that, we are back out in P8 for Piastri and P19 for Russell, so still leading the quote-unquote points compared to our rival, which is important because we are going to need that for another victory. We are getting close to Series 5 here, so as long as we keep the momentum here, we should be okay at the moment. As Piastri makes his way through the hairpin, he has caught up to the safety car queue there. You can see one of the rivals behind Piastri, not that far, but they're looking okay for now, and Russell is ahead of the other rival as well. So we'll see how this ends up, and I think Russell's just about joined the queue as we go green racing once again here. They're making their way through the chicane here, and let's see how these guys shape up as we make our way into turn 1 here, lap number 5 then lap number 6, of this Grand Prix here, and Russell unfortunately not able to make a move there on Valtteri Bottas in the Sauber. Now he tries a move, but unfortunately that's not working out there. We're going to need to get a move on here because our rival is right behind us there. He's also pushing as well, as now Russell finally gets a move on. He gets both guys there, so very, very nice move. We get an iPhone maybe too close one, and despite the fact that our iPhone was not that close to our face at all. And unfortunately, in doing so, our rival actually overtook us while that happened. But remember, though, we are taking these tires to the end of the Grand Prix here. Our rival is going to be having to make another pit stop, so we can afford a little bit to lose a couple positions for now, as long as we don't fall too far behind here. You can see our rival is pushing quite hard at the moment, but luckily these guys have bunched up together quite well. Piastri is sitting in P9, Russell's in P14. So what is the word? Oh my goodness, I forgot my English here, but the oh my goodness, I can't even think about it. But I was gonna say the closeness of these guys is allowing us to keep this quote-unquote lead for now. When I figure out the word, I'll tell you guys in a bit. But Russell's asking for a box. We are not going to do that here. We're going to let these guys go on for another lap. You can see our rival came into the pits there, so you can see our strategy has been working beautifully here. We're going to leave them on standard for now and let them carry on one more lap here. So we make our way into Sector 2 then, with Piastri in second and Russell in fourth. It's been a brilliant race for us here, but we're going to have to watch out for potential running out of tires here, as we're trying to push Russell here to try to see if we can get ahead of these other guys, but in the end we're going to have to conserve, and Russell's just going to run out of tires on this back straight here, so he's going to lose a couple positions into the chicane here. He's going to lose a place then to Sergio Perez there, and potentially Carlos Sainz as we push our way towards the line. It's going to be third and fifth there. Piastri also lost a place, unfortunately, at the line here, but it's a brilliant result for us as we masterminded that safety car, and we managed to make 4 laps out of this, and our rival just crossed the line there, and we take a very, very solid victory, 42 points there, and we do get a gold crate for our efforts, so very, very nice from Hutch Games. But now we're on to the second of 3 races here, going against a guy with a 494 team score. We should be a pretty decent race for us, and we're going to be going, well, once again, to Montreal. We seem to be loving to go to this place. It is a bucket list of races that I do want to go, personally, so we are experiencing it in the game a lot. So let's see if we can make the most of it. We are 3 for 3 at this track here. Let's see if we can make a 4 for 4 here in terms of qualifying. You can see using the same lineup here with Piastri and Russell, but then again, the rival is using a different lineup, this time using one of the most interesting lineups with Max Verstappen and Logan Sargent out of all of them. We're going to be giving these guys self-control boost to see if we can make potentially a 4-stop, not 4-stop, that would be absolutely ridiculous, a 4-lap potentially work, because it is going to be raining for now, but it is going to be dry at the end. So we're going to have to see if we're going to have to commit to a potential 2-stop here, where we do 1 stop onto the wets, 1 stop onto the dries, or can we stretch these tires all the way to the dry period? Because we did start this race then with the weather saying that it will only be 2 minutes and 30 seconds of rain, so depending on how long each lap is, we could potentially stretch it, so we'll have to see how this ends up. Before now, Piastri is looking good there. He's in 11th. Russell's in 18th at the moment. Now Piastri's in 10th as we make our way onto the hairpin, putting these guys immediately into conserve mode to see where they are. And, well, coming down the straight, Piastri hit that pit lane around 74% tire wear. Russell was just a bit underneath that. So unless we, really conserve this might actually end up being the 2-stop here as we cross also the pit lane at around 1 minute and 45 seconds. So we could keep this up, but I think we will have to unfortunately resort to pitting onto the wets again if we really want to maximize our performance, because well, we can't pit onto the slick tires immediately after the rain stops. It's going to be still too wet for those tires, so we're going to have to end up committing, and we'll see how that ends up. But we can still keep an open mind here, as Piastri is very, very comfortably sitting in P9. Russell is sitting in P17 then, so the battery charge is looking pretty decent here. The tire is looking pretty decent as well. The self-control boost are looking good, but we are, as I said, going to commit to the 2-stop here. We're going to put on the wet tires here for, I think, what is going to be a 2-lap dash here until the track is ready then for the dries, and we can move on for some slick tires. Piastri made a good move there up into P8, with Russell also following suit in P16. You may have seen on the bottom right of the screen there, but unfortunately loses that position immediately down to P17 and P18 as well. To be fair, we are keeping him on the conserve mode to try and stretch a gap here, but once again here, just as he's making his way down the back straight, we are seeing Piastri make his way into the pits for another set of wet tires. He comes out with a 4.86 second stop. There's a bit of traffic in the pit lane as Russell was held up a little bit, but Piastri comes out nice and smooth here. Russell's also got plenty of battery charge to use as he comes out of the pit lane in P18 then, and he will be looking pretty strong here right off the rip as he immediately makes a move on the exit of the pit lane up into P17 here. Piastri looking okay at the moment as Russell's now up into P16, leaving him on attack for now, draining that battery while we can, and now we are looking at Piastri conserving battery. Russell's now up into P15, so these self-control boosts do give a bit of extra boost to the cornering aspect, so it is helping Russell quite substantially as the rain has now stopped there. It is now cloudy, and we're going to see how long we can take this. And luckily, with the flexibility of a 2-stop, we can stretch this to 2 laps or 3 laps depending on how quickly the track drives, because right now we just entered sector 2 with Piastri and it's only 88% wet, so only 12% of the track, well 12% quote unquote, has dried, so we may actually have to end up sticking another lap here until the track is ready for slicks here. 80% as Piastri is making his way through the hairpin, Russell's making his way up into the hairpin then, and onto the final chicane here towards the wall of champions. We are going to confirm a pit stop with Piastri for the next lap onto the slick tires. By that point, the track should be more or less ready, and as we saw in the previous episode, the slick tires, the soft tires in the rain are obviously the best slick tire to be on if absolutely necessary compared to the other tires, as they provide obviously the highest amount of grip here. As for Russell, we are going to confirm a soft tire pit stop for him, of course, in a bit, but focusing just to make sure we can generate a decent enough gap here, and we should be able to have that as Piastri gets overtaken at the hairpin, but we can mitigate that then, confirming the pit stop with Russell onto the soft tires, and Piastri's coming into the pits then to change onto the slick tires here as Russell is just about entering the pits now. Piastri will leave his pit box and with a 5.2 second stop, Russell enters the pits at a beautiful time there. He goes onto the soft tires as well, 4.87 seconds then for the Brit. So this is his time to get a decent pit stop compared to Piastri. You can see we are still struggling a little bit at the moment, but the track is drying. It is down 27% there. You may have seen for a moment Piastri actually got overtaken quite easily, but you can now see how much different the track is compared to those wet tire runners, as now we make our way down the back straight here. It is now 15% in terms of the wet conditions here. We're going to let Piastri fly here with the battery charge down into turn 1, and now with the track pretty much ready for slicks, we should be absolutely flying compared to the AI around us as we make our way into the first sector with both drivers here. Look at Piastri already flying, and the track is now officially 100% dry here. It is 0%, so we are going to be the fastest people on the track here, and Piastri is immediately looking for a move here into the hairpin, potentially around the outside. It's almost a beautiful move there, but unfortunately cannot pull that off here as we are trying to overtake, well, Russell in the Mercedes, not our Russell. Then unfortunately he can't pull that off. Russell, though, for our Russell, is making decent moves there. He's up into P12 and just checking for the fastest lap here, and we are unfortunately not going to pull it off, but it is still a very good result then nonetheless for us as we come home P9 and P12 then. So very good job for us as we wait for the final rival to cross the line, and that is another victory for us at Canada once again. So very, very solid job from us, and we should be good to go. This time it's only a standard crate for our efforts, and as you can see, we almost pulled off a sprint race victory there. 139 points. If Piastri had just making that overtake, we could have potentially had that, but we're going to have to do one more race here. And this time around, just like the previous 2 episodes, the last race is going to be at Shanghai. But unlike the previous episodes, it is a dry qualifying, so we'll see how this ends up here. We are using pretty much the same lineup here. We'll see what the rival uses. And again, it's a good qualifying from us. Once again, Piastri 16th, Russell 18th, and it's going to be Madison and Hamilton. So we have seen many different drivers in this episode, which is good to see, because although they're obviously the better drivers and the worst drivers in this game, they're obviously nice to see people who try to be bold and use different drivers, and maybe that is what we can try to do in a couple episodes coming as we go to 5 red lights then for the Chinese Grand Prix. Lights out. Piastri gets a slow start, but Russell gets the perfect start once again here. Gets held up a little bit by the traffic, but he now manages to find his way through very nicely, and now he is up into P13 with Piastri unfortunately struggling a little bit as Russell is now flying his way through into the hairpin. He goes up into P11 there. Piastri trying to make a couple moves here and there. Now Russell is really putting the hammer down here up into P10 then. So very, very good job then from the Brit as he almost makes it P9 there through that left-hander. But can we make a move into the long right-hander? That answer is going to be no. We're going to leave these guys on the standard mode at the moment as Russell is a bit under attack then from, well, Sergio Perez, and he unfortunately gets re-overtaken there. But we are starting, of course, on the wet tires, but it's going to be sunny, so this time around we are going to, of course, have to commit to a two-stop. These tires do not last very long around the Shanghai International Circuit, but the fact that it is sunny means that if we do end up doing a two-stop here and we do have to stretch it to 3 laps, then once that sun comes out, it is going to be drying really, really, really fast. So we're going to have to make sure we time this perfectly, as Russell unfortunately is getting overtaken quite a bit here, despite the fact he has a bit of a good cornering boost, and he's trying to make a move back on the McLaren's Piastri, not our Piastri, but unfortunately fails to do so. Piastri, specifically ours, is not doing too bad. He's sitting in P15, a couple places back here, and he's looking to try to defend from a couple other guys here. So we make our way onto the next straight here, onto lap number 3 here. The rain is, well, it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds of rain to go here. This could potentially end up being a 3-2-2 in terms of strategy, where 3 wets here, of course, 2 wets, and then 2 softs potentially. But we'll have to see how quickly the rain comes, especially if there is a potential safety car where we will have to switch to the solid, to potentially the medium tires, depending on where these guys are. But for now, we're going to stick onto the wet tires, and Russell's making his way down the straight here. Piastri's been charging up this entire lap to make sure we give him a nice gap, just as Russell has been doing to him. So nice to see some teamwork between both of these guys, as Russell will this time be the lead driver into the pit lane as Piastri follows his way into the pit lane as well. And now it was a bit of a hold up, unfortunately, but it was a bit of a decent stop for both drivers there, I would say. Russell comes out in P12, Piastri comes out in P17. Then we have this time around for him plenty of battery charge to charge his way through the field, and he is now immediately making an impact up into P16 with Russell also in P12. I think he was defending his position there, so we'll see how this ends up. 1 minute and 1 minute and 12 seconds of rain to go here for this race, and once that sun comes out, it is going to be baking here on the Shanghai International Circuit. So I do suspect the rain will end around lap number 6, considering how long this thing has been. And if that is so, we may have to consider doing this entire race on the wet, and we are actually going to commit to that, despite the fact that it is going to be very, very dry towards the end of the race. But if we can manage to pull off this would be great, as we would avoid having one extra pit stop onto the slick tires. But again, that being said, it is a bit easier said than done here, as we are trying to hold off our position. Piastri's been told to slow down again so we can give a bit of a buffer for these guys here. It is hard to do a one-stop, a 3-4 at Shanghai. It is possible, but we have needed some extreme tire wear boosts and some pretty good tire management drivers, which I think Hamilton is very good at that, which is one of our rivals has. But regardless of that, we are into the pits then for Russell, and you can see that, well, we're almost out of rain there. 5 seconds there, as unfortunately there's a bit of a hold up once again there. Russell not getting the greatest stops, but yeah, it's now sunny then, so we'll have to see how this ends up, how quickly this dries out. As you can see, like the number is already down to 86% there, despite the fact that it has only been sunny for about 15 seconds. As I was saying, this track is going to dry up really, really fast, so we may have a bit of a problem on our hands if our rival decides to pit onto the wet tires, onto the slick tires here. He is currently on the wet tires here, and you can see that the track is almost half dry there. It's already down to 50%. The sun is baking here on the Shanghai International Circuit, but our rival is forced to pit there because of the fact that he did a 3-3. It would have been impossible to do a 3-4. He would have been the slowest driver on the track by far, but we're going to have to somehow survive one lap then with the wet tires, despite the fact that everybody else around us is on dry tires at the moment. So we are going to be very, very slow. This is going to be one long lap, but if we can pull this off, remember, we will not only get a win, push closer to Series 5, but we will also be able to get our sprint race crate, which will be incredible. This will be our first sprint win, and it'll be something interesting to get. I'm curious to see what kind of stuff we could get, but right now we have to really focus on making sure we don't screw up here, because Piastri is getting overtaken left, right, and center. Russell is down to 13, but luckily one of those drivers has a mechanical failure that brings Piastri up into 16th now. Now, as we make our way onto the final straight here, Piastri's getting re-overtaken left, right, and center, but Russell will finish in P13, and we will just about hang on to this race here. P18, and just about getting that win under our belt then. So a very solid job from a lot of these guys as we pull it off by the skin of our teeth there, and 19 points. And just like that, not only will we get a standard crate, we also move our way through. We get some extra coins to do a coin search, and we can now confirm to get our first sprint race crate, a gold sprint race crate for that matter. And let's see what we get here. But this will be the end of the episode then. So thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for all the support here. And for our final card, 7 Supernova, it's alright.